Premier Doug Ford has shuffled his cabinet after his education minister resigned this morning. Todd Smith is leaving his post effective immediately for a job in the private sector. This happening on the same day as the Premier's annual Ford Fest that's taking place in Milton this evening. And that is where we find our Queen's Park reporter, Lorenda Reddekopp. Lorenda, what can we make of all these changes today?
Well, Kelda, certainly not the news day that the PC party was likely expecting today when, this is their big event every summer. But Todd Smith, he announced on social media this morning that he's leaving his post in cabinet and leaving politics altogether for a job in the private sector after 13 years as an MPP. He put out a statement saying that he's made this difficult decision to leave politics. Now, he had only been in the post as education minister for less than 3 months. There are some protesters who are outside this event. One of them is actually, she represents the Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation. She's with that union, the president. And she said she actually did appreciate Todd Smith in his very short time as education minister, saying that he immediately reached out to her and seemed to be willing to work with them. Now, the new Minister of Education, that is going to be Jill Dunlop, and the president of the OSS, TF, had this message for her.
I hope she's like Minister Smith and she reaches out and says, let's get together and meet. I'm happy to meet anywhere, anytime. Again, I don't expect her to say, yes, everything you want. No, but we do need to work together because the students of Ontario deserve better, and there's pathways forward that we can make to make sure that there really is that true stability on both parts, not just on the worker part.
Now, there are some media who are reporting that Todd Smith, according to sources, was not happy in his post as education minister. Before that, he had been in energy as the minister there. Now, notably in his statement, he does mention his various portfolios that he held, but he doesn't talk about education. Now, as I said, he was in that role for a very short time. We did speak with a conservative strategist who doesn't feel that this was likely the result of him being unhappy. Take a listen.
Every time there's a ministerial resignation, everyone looks to see, is there another story to this? I don't think this is one of those stories. I think he got a great job opportunity, and after a long time in politics, and he got all the things done in energy he wanted to do.
Now, as education minister, we're just a few weeks away from back to school. We are hearing some reaction from the opposition, and Leader Marit Stiles says this is very bad timing.
The system is in a lot of disarray right now. And so the fact that a minister of education who's just been in the job for just a few months is jumping ship just when we are counting on things to be fixed. It's really a terrible time for this. And I think people in Ontario deserve better.
And so now we'll have to see what the next education minister will be presenting in that role.
And Lorenda, there were some other changes in today's cabinet shuffle. What can you tell us about some of the other big moves?
That's right. Well, Jill Dunlop, she had been the Minister of Colleges and Universities. So, of course, there had to be a larger cabinet shuffle then with that. So Nolan Quinn, he moves into her role, heading up colleges and universities. He had been an Associate Minister in Forestry. So someone else moves into that role. That's Kevin Holland. And then there's another change, which is interesting. Graham McGregor is going to be the Associate Minister responsible for auto theft and bail reform.
So what else are they saying?
So there are some protesters outside. We had been there earlier. There were a few dozen protesters there at first. It had been growing because there were some busloads of people who were just arriving. Just as you can see, more people are arriving here at Ford Fest inside as well. But there are a huge range of issues by the protesters. Some of them, they're against Highway 413. Healthcare is a big one. I spoke with one woman who had this big high highway sign. It looks very similar to those highway signs under the Ford government. And she talked about healthcare, and she is somebody who is a cancer survivor.
Over 2 million Ontarians don't have a family doctor. We can't get access to specialists. It was suggested if the wait times are too long and you really need it, you can apply for out-of-country care. Come on. It's not doctors, it's not nurses, it's not MRI techs, it's not the system of the healthcare workers, it's the policy. The policy has failed us, and he needs to go.
So that's a view from outside this event. Certainly inside Ford Fest every year we have the people who are the biggest supporters of Doug Ford and his government. And now as for what happens with them losing their education minister, losing Todd Smith as an MPP, there will have to then be a by-election called. And so that has to happen within 6 months. The other option is, of course, for there to be an even earlier election than what had been talked about. We're not expecting that to happen because the Premier has said that he wouldn't be calling one in the fall. Kelda?
Thanks so much, Lorenda. That's our Lorenda Reddekopp live in Milton tonight.